No, no. It was me. Very sorry. I don't know why the fuck it happened, but I'm pretty pissed about it. We should be back though. Yes. We are back. We are so safe. Very sorry about that. I'll just reread this whole thing. But nobody listened to him. In fear, he glanced around, hoping to spot the familiar pink shirt, but he remembered that he locked Petey in his dorm room. Fine, everybody to the dorms now. Hold on to each other as you go. The blizzard is blinding, Johnny added as each student held the back of each other's shirts, forming a line as they walked into the main hall. With a deep sense of urgency, Jimmy ran past them all to yank the doors open, only to be pelted with an intense whip of snow that almost knocked him off his feet. Outside, you could barely see 5 feet in front of you. At his feet, drifts already formed that went up to his shins. No, snow does not occur that quickly. Even if it's a snowstorm, you're fucking crazy. Fuck, he shivered and and looked back at Ernest, Ted, Darby, and Johnny. We get everyone to the boys' dorm first, and then we'll send out a rescue party to find anyone who's still in the library in Harrington House. Unflinchingly, Johnny nodded in complete agreement while Darby rolled his eyes and pushed past him, setting foot outside. His blatant attitude narked Jimmy, so he didn't even bother yelling his name. Ted, Ernest, Johnny, take my sleeves or coat. Thank you for your courage. Ted and Ernest glanced at each other and held onto of a sleeve of Jimmy's each, while Johnny took Ernest's sweater hem on into his hold. Then the greaser leader felt someone hesitantly hold onto his jacket, and so on for the other clique leaders in no particular order. As what the fuck? Doesn't matter. Who cares? This is poorly written. As students quickly relayed the human chain instruction to the people behind them. It continued until 3 human chains were formed, and assuming that everybody was in position, Jimmy began to walk through the snapping cold, relying on muscle memory, not going too fast that the chain might break. Think, I never counted the steps, but I can feel when I'm close to a wall or building, he thought to himself. This is stupid as shit. I know for a fact you'd be able to know. Like, I'm so pissed off. Whatever. Snow clung to his skin and clothes, already forming a layer on his body as the cold laced through his body. Too many bodies. May I have a cringe for 2 bodies in one sentence, please? Thank you so much. And he inhaled sharply, but still trudged on as he held his hand out. His hand touched bricks. In hope, he looked up, but it's just a pillar. Hesitantly, he walked to the right, and he touched more bricks, trying to shine his flashlight ahead of them, only for the light to reflect off more slow. Thank you for your cringe. There, the dorm, he heard Ted shout. Straight ahead, there's a lighter ahead. Stop! Jimmy paused, but refused to turn around in this vortex of whiteness. What? He yelled. The chain's broken, he heard someone, Lefty, cry out. Vance was holding on to me, but he let go. We have to go find him. We have to keep going, Ernest insisted. It's either half or all of us. Gritting his teeth, Jimmy coughed before shouting, We keep going. We'll find them as soon as we get you guys in. No way. I'm not leaving Vance or anyone else behind, Lefty yelled from a few meters away. British. I'm breaking away to find them. Johnny whipped his head around. Lefty, no! Johnny roared, growing pale, but they couldn't hear Lefty anymore. Vance and Lefty are dead, probably. More snow bloomed as the wind's whistling intensified, and Jimmy's heart left his chest as he felt the greaser abruptly let go of him. Johnny, no! The ginger screamed after him in lunch, only to grab the hand of whoever held Johnny's jacket. Wade. He's just ran off, the bully stumbled. Jimmy! Ernest seized his sleeve. We have to keep going to the dorm. Someone has their lighter on. Letting out a dismayed yell, Jimmy power walked. Very fucking funny of you to say power walked. Love that. Power walked it towards the weak light of someone who is standing on the steps to the boys' dorm, Petey. The ginger's eyes widened upon seeing him, only to flinch when the brunette ran up to him and punched him in the face. While it didn't knock Jimmy off his feet or even move him, he still shot him a stunned look. You idiot! He screamed. You locked me in your room, and now I'm hearing that somebody's been murdered? Explain everything to me now, Hopkins. Time skip. Fuck you. With the remains of the human chain entering the boys' dorm, Ted and Damon slammed the front doors shut, keeping the blizzard outside as other boys went to cover up any holes in the windows with powerful duct tape. Dude, me too. Time skips are fine, but not this frequently. They are so bad. Still in a state of shock because this could just continue. Like it could go from here to here, and it maybe an extra sentence in between. Isn't the lock on the inside of the door? Yes. Yes, it is. Astute observation, Cat. Astute observation. I didn't even think about it. I was like, yep, that makes sense. But alas, it does not. Whatever. Okay. Still in a state of shock, Petey grabbed Jimmy's hand, yanking him along and through the bedroom door with the handle ripped off, before kicking it shut and turning to face him, face red in fury. Like, you can't lock someone inside the door. Yeah, silly. Especially an individual room. Like, that's so much worse. Tell me everything, now. So Jimmy did. Mm-hmm. He told Petey of how, when the power went off, he noticed the light in the staff lounge, went to investigate, saw Sheldon's folded body, and his pursuit of the murderer. You went after the killer? Petey shrieked. Yes, Jimmy snapped, and some people still believe I'm the one responsible. Of course they would, his friend yelled. With blood on your hands, of course they're going to accuse you. So what? Jimmy burst angrily, rounding up on him. You think I killed Sheldon, huh? No! Petey shoved at his chest. Damn it, Jimmy! You're violent, scary, immoral, but you're not a killer. He's not that scary. He also has morals. If he were immoral, he would kill. Just saying. Are you gonna get after the others or... No, we're busy. And I might as well have killed everyone for not going to the basement to fix the lighting back on. Because honestly, if we just close the front fucking gates and the side gate, we are all contained in the school. We cannot leave school grounds if we close the gates. So we just take a pack of 5 or something, if it's this big of a fucking deal, close the front gates, close the fucking side gate, which shouldn't be that big of a deal. It'll take us like maybe 20 minutes, maybe an hour if we're feeling slow and annoying, and then we're all contained on school grounds, and then we can't lose anybody. With a murder on the loose, it's, a little iffy, but for the most part, we won't lose anybody to the snowstorm, because they should be able to find their way without that big of a deal. But that's not... Even with the snowstorm, I feel like a group of 5 could probably handle closing some gates. Maybe just me. I don't know. Anyway, and I might as well have killed everyone for not going to the basement to fix the lighting back on. Oh, fine then. I'll go trip the switches back on then. It took Jimmy a solid second to realize that Petey was serious as he left the room, putting on his thick coat and headed towards the... Okay! Finally a character with a fucking brain! Fuck. Putting on his thick coat and hood as he headed towards the front doors, and he seized his shoulder to spin him around. I swear, do not go out there, Jimmy commanded him, but the smaller male glared at him. I got firecrackers, a torch, some crackers in my pocket. If you hear a firecracker go off, then it's my call for help. Understand? Goodbye! Slay! Finally! Petey, my one and only. And he opened the door, letting in a blustery, screeching wind inside as he forced his way against the cold and the door slammed shut again, leaving Jimmy alone, stunned and feeling lonely despite being surrounded by dorm mates who have listened to their argument. That was stupid as shit. Bad sentence. Anyway, chapter 3. Let's get in there! I wish I hadn't stormed out. A chapter in P's POV? No way. No way, dude. Thank you for your cringe. I'm gonna need another cringe. Please, and thank you for PDPOV. Because fuck you, I thought we had left that shit in Gord Vendome's Downward Spiral. I'm sick to my stomach. Anyway, I have to run an ad really quick, so I'm gonna go do that. Thank you for your cringe. I will return shortly after the ad. Everybody sit tight. I'm back now. I can't believe it's in the first fucking person. I almost forgot. The world I lived in was so peaceful and kind for about 3 minutes. Thank you. It is good to be back. Alright, let's jump right back in. I wish I hadn't stormed off like that, but Jimmy's bleeding was annoying me so much. He doesn't have to treat me like a delicate flower just because I'm still a dwarf compared to him. But as I powered through the snowstorm currently hitting Bulworth, I regret leaving without him. He's stronger than I am, and would probably be great for sharing body heat if we get buried under a drift by accident. As I trudged through the deep snow, looking around with my torch, British, drink for cat. Christian continuity. Favor Thank you for letting her know. We'll keep an eye on all those Britishes for you as well. Barely lighting the way. My regret ran deeper as I almost walked back into the trash can that I recognized as the one that sits only a mere feet away from the boys' building. This is hopeless. I went to turn back, but then I bumped into the locked front gates instead. The gates are already fucking done? Perfect. We can't get lost. Also, how the fuck are you that bad directionally? Go forward, turn left, man. What do you mean front gates, you stupid bitch? Also, by the way, you would be able to see people's footsteps still. I don't give a shit how fast you think that snow is falling. It's only been maybe 2 minutes since Jimmy and all them got back from the fucking building to which you are traveling. There would be footsteps. Especially if they're going through, knee-high snow. There's going to be footsteps still. Have they ever seen snow before? I'm starting to wonder. Anyway, because blizzards do not run that fast. I promise you they don't. Anyway, I went to turn back, but then I bumped into the locked front gates instead, iron rattling ominously in the powerful winds. What? How? Silently, I held the gate, peering through the darkness. The streetlights have stopped working too. My mind blanked. This shit is like something out of a horror movie. Hell no, I'm on my own in the dark. In panic, I burst into a run through the snow, straight ahead without thinking. Yes, that is the correct direction to go. Fucking hate it here. I run straight ahead without thinking, only to trip up the steps that I assumed led up to the front doors of the main building. Picking up the torch I dropped, I hurled myself against the door and it opened. My torch shone at a group of people and I almost yelled, but then I recognized Vance staring at me with wide eyes. Petey, he blurted and ran to me, holding my arms. How'd you get here on your own? I couldn't talk. The reality that I just wandered the campus on my own in a snowstorm without protection while a killer was on the loose hit me, and I couldn't help but cry. Arms wrapped around me, and I hit with a smell of oil and mint. Chill, man. You're safe with us now, Vance uttered, because some Nimrod broke the human chain, so we had no choice but to run back here in case. You broke the chain, a guy spoke up, Lefty, face completely red. I thought I'd lost you. I told you I didn't break it. Someone slapped my hand off you and shoved me into the snow, Vance hotly argued. Who? I muttered against his jacket, and he let go with a sigh. No clue, but if it's the murderer Jimmy had talked about, then I'm lucky, eh? No, I'm lucky, Lucky joked. Stupidest shit I've ever heard. Anyway, Lucky joked, and Lefty gave him a high five, making our small group of survivors. What is this, the fucking apocalypse, man? Jesus, get a grip. It's a snowstorm. God, it'll let up in a few hours. To myself, I suddenly felt a whole lot better. So who's here? I asked, because before the snowstorm hit, most of us were at that party, right? Lefty glanced around, and I looked to see him. I looked to see him. Lucky, Vance, Lance, and Pedro, who was huddled up on the floor trembling. Dumb kid still wearing a pair of shorts this time of year. Me-core! Just us. Others went to check out the other floors. Who else? I gulped, because that's a bad idea with a killer going around. Nah, Lucky waved his hand dismissively. There's 3 of them together. They can overpower one crazy killer together. Troy, Trent, and Angie. But man. Angie? I thought all the girls were in the other dorm. I mean, it's fine. She can be here. Love her. But, like, huh? Anyway, whatever. He sighed and ran his hand through his auburn hair. Good thing some of us are already home where it's warmer than being here. Well, in any case, we have to get back to the boys' dorm, I said. Let's get those guys back to all together. Oh, wow, that was bad. Oh, no. May I have a cringe, please? The more of us there are, the better. Thank you for your cringe. Then a loud, piercing scream filled the halls of this building, and we all jumped in shock, quickly looking at each other. That sounds like Angie. Okay, so it is. How did a girl get here? I'm so confused. I thought it, like, maybe for a second it was Algie, because it's like one letter, so maybe they fucked up. But no, it's Angie. How did she get here? I'm not upset. I love women, but like, that sounds like Angie, Lance blurted. Let's run. So who the fuck is Lance? Oh, he's just some guy. Okay, cool. I had no idea. Angie? Yeah, I know. But anyway. Lance blurted, let's run. Vance cuffed him upside the head angrily. Run to her, you moron. Let's go. He yelled and without warning ran up the stairs, followed by Lefty and Lucky. Wait up, I shouted and also charged, but yelled back as I did so to Lance and Pedro. You two stay here and wait for us. They're dead. It's over. We turned right up towards the upstairs east wing where the greasers stopped suddenly, and we all looked to see a figure wearing a thick black jacket and a ski mask. Stop. That is so fucking funny. Classic murderer outfit, for sure. Fuck, Vance whispered, backing up, but I pushed past him, clenching my fists as I stared at the advancing figure, only for them to stop when I stepped up. Stay where you are, I shouted, and drop that weapon down. Or we will kick your ass. A sob was heard somewhere, and the figure turned their head. Then someone ran past me yelling. Lucky, no! Vance ranted, but before the greaser wielding a fire extinguisher could react, the intruder jerked forward. As if punched, Lucky— oh no, is Lucky dying right now? That's crazy. Okay, sorry. We'll keep going. As if punched, Lucky gasped and backed up, dropping the fire extinguisher with a clattering noise as he went before falling to his backside, clutching his stomach. Oh my god, he was stabbed. Thank you for your crunch. Vance and Lefty yelled, immediately kneeling beside him, and the figure stood just a meter, British, away from me, seemingly staring at me until they chuckled and bounded away around the corner, dropping the kitchen knife with a clatter. If it's fucking Gary, we all have to blow up. There is zero reason. No reason. None. For it to be Gary. That is so lame. Be creative. It's gonna be Gary. But, like, come on, man. Make it someone interesting. Like, Beatrice. Because, I don't know, she mentioned the cyanide earlier. That was a red flag, you know? Like, give me something. But it's gonna be nothing. It's gonna be nothing burger. It's gonna be fucking Gary. Boo! Whatever. Anyway. Everything is... No! No. It's not better with Gary. It's worse with Gary. I have to kill myself. I was singing the parody song. I thought so. It sounded familiar, but Gary really threw me. Anyway. Where was I? I got so distracted by it being Gary. As if punched, Lucky gasped and backed up, dropping the fire extinguisher with a clattering noise before falling to his backside, clutching his stomach. Vance and Lefty yelled, immediately kneeling beside him, and the figure stood just a meter away, seemingly staring at me until they chuckled and bounded away around the corner, dropping the kitchen knife with a clatter. I foolishly follow, only to turn the corner to stop because how could someone disappear into midair in half a millisecond? Lucky, hang in there, Vance ordered, and I hurried back to the greasers, kneeling down to see the red staining his blue vest as he panted, squeezing his eyes shut and fists clenched. Fuck, he gasped, leaning against Lefty. Don't go near that jerk. We won't, pal. Just hang on. We'll get you somewhere safe, Lefty pleaded before looking at me. The infirmary. We have to take him there. I finally snapped out of the fog in my mind and stood up straight. only to hear a cry again, and I froze. You two, I snapped, and they jerked their glances at me. Take Lucky, Pedro, and Lance to the infirmary room, and I'll come back with Angie, Trent, and Troy. Don't hesitate and apply pressure to his wound. I spun on my heel and headed off, ignoring their cries, and I strained my hearing to listen for the sobbing again. Being alone is not advisable. I can feel it down in my bones, screaming at me to at least bring someone with me. But Lucky needs his friends with him, and my only friend is at the dorm with a dangerous snowstorm separating the buildings with the sheer force of nature alone. This is annoying. Lucky's bleeding stuck to my mind like blood. I fucking love writing, dude. I love reading. I love seeing words. Back with my single. Lucky has been stabbed. We don't know if he's gonna live yet, but he has been stabbed, and we're pretty sure it's Gary. It's gonna be Gary. We have deduced that it's Gary. Not a hard guess, but alas. Lucky's bleeding stuck to my mind like blood to clothing, as I fucking hate that so much. Can I have a cringe, please? My ears tried so hard. Huh? Oh, as my ears tried so hard, but I just can't call out names now. The killer might come back. Angie, I whisper instead, and then a rattling noise made me shiver all over as I slowly turned to the row of lockers and suddenly just saw all the stuttering and I'm really annoyed already. Suddenly, a door opened one of them, and a girl fell out with a whimper onto her knees, and she looked up at me with saucer-wide eyes and broken glasses. Angie, I hushed, dropping to her height. It's me, Petey. I'm going to take you to the boys' dorm where everyone else is. Her teeth chattered. She's not even wearing a coat. What was she doing here? I thought all the girls were at the dorm. So did I, brother. Carefully, I reached over to take her freezing hands into mine, and she only tensed up more, eyes unblinking. Where did Trent and Troy go? I whispered gently, and she gulped before fat tears rolled down her cheeks. It's no use. I'm going to walk you to the infirmary right now, I soothed. It's where there's a group of us. Then I'll find Trent and Troy. But as I took a couple of steps away while holding her hand, she remained frozen. Thank you for French. She remained frozen on the spot. Her hold on me only tightened to the point it began to hurt. Angie, I start. You gotta walk. If you don't, I don't want to be a jerk and say the killer will come back, but desperate times call. Desperate times and desperate message. She shook again, trying so hard to talk. Angie, I said a bit more loudly, you have to move. The killer will come back here and find you. Her mouth stopped moving, but then she fell forward and I caught her. Okay, sorry. And I caught her only to spot 5 knives sticking out of her back. That's fucking crazy. Second death and it's a girl? And they're all supposed to be in the dorm right now? Piss off! Anyway, Angie, I gasped, and quick. She's one of the nicest kids in the game. Fuck off. I love Angie so much. She's so nice. I gasped and quickly knelt down to carefully roll her to her side, holding her face as she tried to speak. Trent, she finally hisses. Troy ran. And then her eyes closed, head becoming dead weight on my hand, and I hopelessly laid her down, just staring at her body before turning to look at the locker where the puddle of blood had pooled, leading to her bloody footprints that I could not have noticed without a flashlight until now. But inside the locker, the words, Jimmy was here, are spray painted on the back. Stunned, I knelt down, foolishly touching her neck to feel a pulse, but of course there's none, just the lingering warmth of life before the chilly air cooled it forever. My own pulse racing, I stood up and thank you for your cringe, before stepping around her body and ran on, intending to find Trent and Troy, wherever the fuck they are, and make them pay for leaving Angie behind. I couldn't find them. I punched the trophy cabinet. Petey did not do that, and yanked out a football-sized trophy the size of Damon's ego as a weapon, and yelled as loud as I could. For the abhorrent, it was pretty fucking bad, dude. It was pretty abhorrent. Trent, Troy, where did you cowards go? Angie's dead! I went downstairs, searching the lower east wing when I heard a muffling inside another locker. I inhaled... Sorry, got distracted by my own thoughts. I inhaled and quickly yanked the door open as I stepped back with the trophy held high, and my eyes fell upon Trent, who was curled up in a ball, pale and eyes wide. My eyes wandered to his feet, but no blood. Trent! I snapped, and he flinched, looking like a frightened child. Where's Troy? His teeth clenched, and he hugged his knees, shaking his head. I seized his arm and pulled him out, and he let out a whimper, shoving my hand away. No, stay away, he cried. Leave me alone, please, I'm begging you. His voice cracked, and he began to full-on sob. Pull yourself together, I hissed, and dropped to his eye level. In a locker, he would be standing at full height, but sure, go off and say whatever the fuck you want, I guess. That's fine. I don't give a shit. We have to go to the infirmary where it's safe. The other guys are there right now, but we'll need help taking Lucky to the boys' dorm. He's been stabbed. Christ, he blubbed and wiped his eyes. Just leave me to hide. I'm safer in here. Now you're not, I growled and snatched his wrist, because you have to come with me and there's safety in numbers. Yeah, right, he sniffled, and I stood up, dragging him up. Either stay here and freeze to death or get killed and come with me and help us stop the bastard before he kills anyone else. In spite of his protests and despite being weaker, I began to pull him along. We went past the front doors when we heard knocking, and we froze, staring at the wood. The knocking continued, calmly, and Trent shook his head. Don't answer it, he hissed, fearful again. It could be a trap. Thank you for your cringe. To reassure him, I nodded, and we hurried on until we made it to the infirmary door, which I knocked with my knuckles. It's me, Petey, I raised my voice, and a second later the door opened with Lance staring at me, panting. Did you? He muttered, and his eyes met Trent's before backing up with a gulp. Just Trent, huh? Trent said nothing, barging past with his eyes squeezed shut. I followed, and the door clicked shut before Lance pushed a cabinet in front of it, and my heart dropped upon seeing one of the beds occupied with a sheet completely covering Lucky. Oh my god, Lucky has fucking died. That's crazy. Okay, goodbye, Lucky. Vance was hunched over, face in his hands, while Lefty said nothing, only patting his back as they sat together. In the corner by the main desk, Pedro toyed with a fountain pen listlessly, face red from upset. Lucky! He is not, no. He is not Lucky. Rip to Lucky. A moment of silence. Okay, that was really hard. Being silent, not for me. He's gone. Vance broke the silence, voice hoarse as he dropped to his hands to his knees. Just as he was telling me how he wanted us all to go on a trip together to Hollywood next spring break. Dying people say stuff, I guess. Lefty's hand moved up to hold his neck, pulling him over to rest against his shoulder. Trent did nothing, only sitting down on the nearest bed and letting out a heavy sigh, snatching up a tissue from the box on the bedside cabinet to wipe his eyes. What now? Lance spoke, and I turned to him, looking downcast. You go find Angie and Troy? The other boys looked up as he said that, all looking at me, and I inhaled to calm my racing heart. Angie's dead, I say slowly, and their faces twisted with different emotions. She was shoved into a locker but had 5 knives in her back. Whoever did it put them in her in a way that didn't mean instant death. That's fucking crazy. That a weird thing to say. A weird way to say that, but sure, go off, say whatever. Why? Lefty blurted. Why not just get it done and over with? Over and done with. Who cares? To make her suffer, of course, Pedro muttered, not looking at me, still clicking one of the pens. Fountain pens don't click typically, but go off. I mean, they're down 5 knives now. And the one that they dropped earlier, they could pick that one back up. But that's needless semantics. I want my mama. Trent flew to his feet to glare at him. Of course you do, you big baby. Weren't you just crying? Not too long ago? Keep that in mind, buddy. Trent snarled, and his eyes watered, but I stood in his line of vision. Not helping, I hissed, before looking around. Guys, we have to stay focused. I want all of you to head to the boys' dorm and debrief Jimmy about what's going on. Tell him I'm safe. That's the weird thing, Vance murmured, eyes focusing on me. You stood close to the killer. They could have easily caught you, but they just ran off. Why? Yeah, Lefty frowned, standing up. Why is it that you're still alive? How many knives can one person carry? 10? I don't know. I feel like if they're moving around a lot, you could go pick up more pretty easily. So, me personally, maybe 2. I wouldn't really feel like carrying 8 more in my pockets. But maybe a bag. Maybe he's got a bag. Anyway, even Pedro and Lance watched me apprehensively. I don't know, I blurted. Don't get any weird ideas, guys, because seriously, am I someone who can easily kill a guy? No, Trent snorted, but anyone who knows anybody will know that you always followed that weirdo Gary Smith like a puppy. Maybe you learnt a thing or two from him. Learnt with a T is fucking a purse. A merce. Murderer purse. That was a good one. It is not just a man purse, it is a murderer purse. A merce. I mean, they did leave the ones in Angie, so technically he can reason. That's true. That he can. That's what's so great about knives, is you can reason. Knife purse. A nurse. Okay, so true. Love the silent K addition. Very important. Can I have a cringe for learnt with a T? That is not real. Thank you so much. My blood spiked as I shoved him in the chest, making him stumble back onto a bed with a clatter. I am not Gary Smith, I hissed, and if anyone, I turned to glance at each person, thinks otherwise, don't expect me to help you out. Harsh, Lefty muttered, but nodded. This isn't helping. Petey, what's the plan of action? Thank you for your cringe. We'll have to go back to the dorm, I murmured, glancing at the bed with Lucky resting upon it. Vance, Lefty, we have to leave him behind. I'm sorry, but as soon as the snowstorm clears and the power's back on, we'll get him cleaned up properly, okay? All right, Vance sighs, but not without taking something out of his pocket first, a lighter. Solemnly, he places it onto the fabric over Lucky's chest, and where I noticed they crossed his hands over. I then turned to Pedro just as he got off the revolving chair. No one says that, but sure. Holding one of his pens in his fist. Come on, little guy, we'll get you back to the dorm safe and sound. He nodded, eyes blank, and I hesitantly held a small hand as Blanche pushed the cabinet away from the infirmary door and opened it. I went out first, seeing nobody in the corridor, and walked out as the other guys hesitantly followed me. He's gonna be running like that. I wasn't gonna say that, but you are correct. At this rate, he will be rotting. But probably not the nicest thing to tell them, because none of us said anything, but as soon as I opened the door, Trent seized my shoulder and I jumped. His eyes looked dark, grip on my shoulder not relenting. My heart jumped. Troy's dead, he muttered, all because of me. We'll talk about it later, I hissed. Wait, what the fuck? Is he confessing to, like, seeing him die, or... Whatever. We'll talk about it later, I hissed, thinking of the little boy holding my hand. No, Trent shook his head, sounding distant. I have to say it. What's the holdup? Vance spoke up with a frown. Come on, Trent, tell us when we get back. I mean it! His voice rose angrily, and Pedro whimpered, eyes brimming with tears again. Me and Troy went to look for Angie because something spooked her and she ran off. And when she went to check the girls' toilet upstairs, someone threw a toilet lid at his head, and he slipped and broke his fucking neck. That's enough, Lefty snarled and shoved his hand off my shoulder. You're upsetting the kid, man. Oh, like you ever gave a shit for someone not wearing a shitty oil jacket. Trent barked. I stood between them. Shut up, I demanded, but they still glared at each other. I swear, wait until we get to the door, I say, as a grim realization that Trent witnessed someone getting killed sunk into my conscience. But then Trent stepped outside ahead of us into the blizzard angrily. I'm going ahead, he yelled. Trent, you idiot, don't, I ranted, but the storm cloaked him, vanishing him from our view instantly. Fucking hell, Lance burst, and I shot him a glare just as Pedro held my hand tighter. Pedro, I say, and knelt down, my back facing him. Come on, I'll give you a piggyback ride. How's that sound? He immediately clung to me, arms tight around my neck, and I almost choked. Hold on, I gasped, and looked at the remaining three boys. Okay, guys, you know the drill. Hold on to each other and do not let go. Lefty glanced at Vance, and they held hands as Vance held the hem of my shirt. Lance reached up to hold Pedro's hand, temporarily relieving the pressure on my throat. Let's go, I murmured. Bye, Trent. It was nice knowing you, buddy. I can't believe he fucking did that. It's so stupid. Oh, God. Okay, whatever, it's fine. Let's go, I murmured, and we began to walk through the freezing storm, going slowly to avoid falling down the steps, across what I presume is the front entrance courtyard before turning right. Snow and ice already formed on my clothes. If it wasn't for the young boy clinging to my back, I'd probably freeze to death by now. But then I lit up with hope as I looked ahead to see a flashlight bobbing around, and Jimmy ran up to me before throwing his arms around me, almost knocking me over. The order of deaths is certainly interesting. What do you mean? In what way are they interesting to you? Because the woman dying pretty quick was kind of crazy. I got someone killed, so I will get myself killed. This is productive. So true. That must have been his thought process. He's a very wise kid. Anyway, Petey, he gasped and looked at who? Oh, wait. Sorry, Jimmy. Forgot. He gasped and looked at us. What the fuck happened? Why did you take so long? Is Trent with you? Lance spoke up and he shook his head. Why? Where's Trent? He frowned, looking past us. But I pushed past, hurrying into the lobby of the boys down. And everyone let out a cheer upon seeing me collapse to the ground, applauding and hooting in celebration. I shivered violently, hurriedly brushing the snow off my clothes and hair. And there's like no rhythm, like one rando, a woman, then another rando. Yeah, I don't really get it. But whatever works, I guess. Thank you for your cringe. Pedro got off me quickly, running off, and Lewis and Dan helped me to my feet while clapping my back, and the fear of them beating me up disappeared when I saw their genuine smiles. Jimmy ran to my side, holding my shoulders and staring into my eyes. What happened? He asked, and my throat seized up. I can't stop thinking of the killer. Jimmy, Vance spoke grimly, approaching him with Lufty. We lost 3 people. The boys nearest to us stopped, looking at them as everyone gradually fell silent. Vance wiped his eyes, so his friend spoke up. We saw Lucky get stabbed while trying to attack the killer. He began. So true! Exactly what I was thinking. He began, and startled murmurs sounded, and Trent said he saw Troy get bludgeoned with the toilet seat in the girls' toilets. Don't know which floor, though. And then his gaze moved to me, and so did everyone else's. Angie, I muttered, and Jimmy's mouth dropped. She was stuffed in a locker with 5 knives in her back. My eyes burned. I'm sorry. I didn't even notice. I took her out, but then I thought she was just scared to leave. But then she collapsed, and I saw the knives, and I gulped, but Jimmy held my arms with a dark look. It's not your fault, Petey, he murmured. It's the fault of the bastard who killed Sheldon and Troy and Angie, and we'll take that bastard down no matter what. But how? Lance said with a frown. The prefects have locked up the gates so we can't even get to the police station. How the fuck are you okay, dumbass? If you can't even handle getting around the fucking... If you can't getting around the stupid campus of Bullworth, there's no shot you're making it to the fucking police station. Fuck you. Kill yourself. Oh my god, that makes me so mad. Oh, how are you gonna play? You weren't gonna be able to get there in the first place. Fuck. Hate that. Anyway, where the fuck are the prefects? Dan suddenly ranted, making me jump. They're supposed to maintain order or crap. I've seen them do nothing tonight. For once, I agree with him, despite him being a jock. Petey, Jimmy said gently. They usually sleep in the boiler room, I explained, and ground sounded typical. Jimmy shook his head, and it happens to be the warmest place on campus too long as they have on campus too. There should be a comma here, as long as they have the firewood and plenty of access to the electrics and gas as well. So if we turn the power back on, I began, and he nodded. We can call for help. I don't know how long it'll take for the cops to show, but we gotta get prepared to get beaten up before being asked questions. I held his arm tightly with a nod. I'm ready. They sleep where? I guess the boiler room? I don't know. Maybe it's like a nap situation and not like a we sleep here all the time. Because technically the prefects are also students. And since they're also students, they would also be sleeping in the boys' dorm. But no need to get into all that. That's too... No! Okay, what happened to the third person, man? It was perfect for the first 2 chapters. It was... no notes. It was third person. I wasn't bothered. But now. Whatever. Jimmy's point of view. Fuck. With a thick coat on, Petey and I made our way out of the boys' dorm. I can tell he really wanted to stay, but he'll have a pretty extensive knowledge of electronics and shit since he regularly goes to the basement, so I'm glad he came with me. I get that it'll be safer being around everyone else under one roof, but we have to get the criminal captured before someone else dies. We already lost 4 people. You know what? I have no idea. It's probably just natural for them, which is so damn shame. Jimmy, Petey's teeth rattled as I reached out to grab his sleeve so that we wouldn't separate. But we have to hurry. But Petey surprised me so far. Not only did he witness someone getting stabbed. Oh, okay, yeah, he did. Never mind. I forgot Lucky has been stabbed and is also dead. But he also held Angie as she died. Then, from what I heard, he rallied the survivors and managed to get them all back to the dorm. Apart from Trent, that drama queen. I hope I find him before he does something stupid, but Petey really grew a pair ever since I first met him last year. I guess they got sick of saying the brunette or the prisoner. Oh my god, so true. They absolutely did get tired of that, and so did I, so maybe this is an improvement. It isn't, but we will pretend it is for now. Anyway, we pushed the front doors open, stumbling inside as he quickly shut them again. The halls are as silent as death. Good comparison. As I look around, ready to fight if I need to. I don't know what a slingshot can do against a murderer, but I'm willing to take that risk, even if I do want to personally kill that fucker myself. Let's hurry, Petey muttered, and I followed him into the east wing, past the school shop, and he opened the basement door with a heavy creaking noise from the years of a lack of oiled hinges. Where are they exactly? I asked, as we stepped inside the room. Glancing, I bet all of the prefects are fucking dead. I bet my bottom dollar. I asked as we stepped inside the room, glancing at the boxes of Christmas decorations readying to be used next week. The electric and gas meters are by the hole. Capital H. Petey explains, and my mind immediately went to the memory of me reigning victorious against Russell last year. But the prefects are camping out by the boilers, which are in that direction. He pointed down the corridor on our left side. Very spooky and dark without the lights on. We are not separating, I say firmly. We'll put the power back on first, then we'll alert the prefects. If the killers manage to access this building and the teacher's lounge, even though we're told that they were locked, then it's likely that they'll have gone down here too and are waiting for someone to come alone. Petey nods with a wan. I don't know what the fuck that says. Happy word. New word. Who'd have thought? Smile. Learning from the horror movies, huh? I couldn't help but grin at that as we began to make our way down towards the hole. Capital H. Down the steps while guided by the broken flashlight Petey carried. He didn't say how it got cracked, but as long as it works, it's fine. He sniffed the air, freezing. Jimmy, I stop as well, smelling something familiar. I smell it too. We shared a look as he quietly pulled a firecracker from his pocket, and I got my slingshot ready with a marble as ammunition. It smells like roadkill, right? He whispers as we walk very slowly, almost excruciatingly slow, down the long corridor that felt 10 times longer than usual, rotting, like in Dr. Slaughter's bio class. Thank you for clarifying what class he teaches. Fuck you. You didn't need to do that. Agreed, I muttered, rubber tense in my grip. I can't explain it, but it smells like something has been rotting for days. I love knowing exactly what's going to happen before it happens. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually found a dead deer and decided we should use it instead of putting it in Edna's freezer. Oh, it's already full of pigeons, Petey says nonchalantly, and I looked at him before glancing ahead, and the flashlight's beam danced through the chain fencing, throwing shadows everywhere. The smell grew stronger, and we remained tense, edging closer and closer until Petey drew in a sharp gasp and backed up while I stayed where I was, staring down in the middle of the hole where Russell lay in brown sewage. No, not Russell! Boo! Tomato. You can't kill Russell. Come on. That's my boy. Boo! He didn't get a line in. He just died. Fuck off. Anyway, face beaten beyond. Yeah, what? Boo! Face beaten beyond recognition. Oh God, fly! My friend choked, leaning against me and still shakily keeping the light on him as if in denial. It can't be. Russell, he's the strongest in the school. Thank you for the cringe. So true. It is cringe that he died. My only senses dulled while I stared at the body, flies already flitting around and buzzing. Beside the body, a baseball bat lay snapped completely in two, but with the splinters drenched in viscera-like. Silently, I climbed down the ladder, much to Petey's shock, and I walk over, reluctantly peering at the body. Russell still wore his school clothes, but they've been stained before the blood rusted, mostly at his abdominal area. I looked at the halves of the baseball bat and realized something as I turned to Petey. I took an ice cream but heard this. Fuck, never killing him. So true. Boo. That's my boy. I think he's been beaten in the face and head so hard that the bat snapped, and whoever attacked him stabbed him in the stomach with the halves because I pointed at the splintered ends, because there's blood on the broken ends. Not only is it excessive, but the blood loss would mean that he bled out fast if he got struck hard enough while he was stunned. Fuck, Petey gasped, stumbling to turn and look around frantically. Jimmy, the power. We have to turn it on now. It's just over here. And without waiting for me to say a word, he ran around the fencing until he reached behind the betting table to a wall of complicated looking switches. As he muttered and fiddled with the switches and buttons, I took a moment to look at Russell's face, feeling my hands tense. How could this happen to the strongest fighter? Yeah, I beat him, but when it comes to records, Russell is the one who won the most fighting matches in the entire school. I can't even remember the last time I spoke to him either, or remember what his face exactly looks like. What do you mean, your best fucking buddies? That's your second best friend right there. No. Actually, I rescind that. That's your best friend right there. PD is our boyfriend, so no need for him to take the best friend slot too. After all, um, damn it, Petey swore, and I looked up to see him kick the metal before resting his forehead against the console. So it's not just the school. There's a huge power cut for Bulworth. Fuck, I breathed, giving Russell one last glance before climbing up the ladder. So, now what? Wake up the prefects, I suppose, Petey mutters, walking past me with slouching shoulders. Hesitantly, I patted his shoulder and he flinched, turning to me with wide eyes but sighed heavily. Sorry, I kind of saw someone getting I kind of saw someone get killed and die in my arms. Sorry, man, I say slowly. I don't know why the ridiculousness of that particular set of sentences got me so bad, but sorry, I saw someone get killed and someone else died in my arms. Sorry, man. Oh my god, I'm not gonna make it. Okay, sorry. I'm locked in. We're back. Such deep things to say. So true. I say slowly as we make the long trek back up the stairs. This isn't the night anyone would expect. Schools aren't safe anyway, but at least nobody got killed. Huh? Dude, 4 people have been killed. What are you saying? We fell into silence as we carried on, hearing only our footsteps, the sound of dripping from rusty pipes as well as water running freely somewhere. What a time for a leak, Petey groans. That noise always makes me run to the bathroom. Agree. Mm-hmm. I nod, and then we suddenly step into puddles as paused. Okay. Mm-hmm. Good. Cool. Can I have a cringe, please? That was pretty nasty. Light flashing at the huge puddle of water that might as well be a fucking pond. What the hell? My partner muttered with a frown. This is the boiler room for sure. So why isn't the fire on if the prefects are in here hogging all the warmth and Thank you for a cringe. His flashlight jerk and I quickly seize it off him to point and stare at the huge glass tank resting in front of the unlit boiler with 4 bodies trapped inside, all bloated. Oh god, that's foul. All bloated with clothes almost ripping to the seams. Water seeped from under the heavy lid on the tank as a water hose hanging from the water tap is left duct taped to the hole in the side of the tank. Fuck, 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 Petey whimpered, hand covering his mouth, shaking all over. The prefects! Break the glass! But judging from the bulging eyes and spittering blood vessels, fat fingers, and how they simply floated, staring at nothing, I didn't move. I couldn't move. Jimmy! Petey yelled and shook my arm, but even he knew it's too late to save them. Wading over to the spilling water, walking to the water tap beside the fire extinguisher, I turned it until the water stopped running over the spray painted tag with Jimmy was here in bright red on the floor. Jimmy? Petey spoke up, voice echoing in the silent space. What? I grumbled, looking at him and seeing him so lost it almost enraged me. He flinched at me and averted his eyes to look at the bloating corpses, eyes also falling under the spray-painted tag. He inhaled, closing his eyes as he lowered the torchlight to the foot of the tank. I last spoke to them as a group when the teachers locked up the school. Only they have the spare keys on them. Wait. I stepped over to him, hating how cold the water feels against the sole of my boots. Oh yeah, it's scary for sure. Like, there's no one else it could be. And honestly, If they're just like, oh, Gary has actually been in the insane asylum the whole time. It was actually insert random character. Any character that they say will immediately be annoying because they will have done it for shock value and nothing more. Um, if you're gonna do something like this, Gary has to obviously not be the answer the whole time. Otherwise, I'm going to assume it's Gary because it is the most obvious option. And then as a result, I will be annoyed. But I will also be annoyed if it's not Gary. There is no win. They cannot win here. They have done a bad job. It's already a loss. So there's more than one copy of the key for each room in this place. It's a master key, he says simply, peering through the glass, trying to look for something. The one that opens all the keys in the school. Miss Danvers, Mr. Luntz, and Dr. Crabblesnitch have one each. The prefects have one as well. So there's 7 copies altogether, but, my eyes followed his gaze into the water, and the belts are all missing from the prefects. So, conclusion, I murmur, these are the first victims, Petey says with a frown, looking up and down the tank. This tank got brought in because Trent and the drama club complained about not having a water tank for their Little Mermaid Christmas parody production, so I managed to get just about enough budget money to buy it. A Christmas parody of the Little Mermaid. Really, Trent? When did it come in? I ask. A week ago, he answered. But as for everyone else, I don't know when they got killed. But if the real killer hid inside the school, inside a locker, for example, then they made their way down to the basement and killed the prefects. Huh? But if the real killer hid inside the school, inside of... This sentence is just bad. We'll just move on. But how? I blurted. I saw one guy. You saw one guy too. Do you think... I trailed off, and his lips pursed. There's more than one killer? Okay. They could bring this back yet, if it's more than one. But if it's not, then it's annoying. I want to assume that, he grumbles, growing dismayed, but if we act like there is, then we're only going to panic. Also, he turned his flashlight over to the camp beds, where there's an empty bottle of vodka lay broken on the floor. There's no evidence of blunt force trauma. If one person tried to take on 4 conscious, strong men, then that's a death wish. But what if... His voice lightens. They got poisoned. With the bottle having a scrawn cap and the prefect's tendency to get drunk on whatever they could find, it'd be easy as hell to poison them. But with what... I froze and his eyes went huge. The chemistry lab. We got new chemicals in. I know. Petey gasps, looking at the bodies. But Mr. Watts is on that trip, too, so he can't have done this. Or any other teachers, I add, before snorting, unless Mr. Hattrick wanted revenge for being fired. I wouldn't put it past him. That would be fucking crazy, but I doubt it. I wouldn't put it past him, but if anything, it'd be Mr. Galloway he'd poison, he sighs. But no, but the delivered parcels, British, haven't been opened yet because they're in the chemistry classroom. Let me guess. The classroom opens with the master key. Petey facepalmed, shaking his head before turning on his heel. We have to hurry. We left the basement and the time skip didn't need to be there. It was perfectly fine the way it was. We left the basement and stepped into the east wing corridor before turning directly to our left. And I quickly stopped Petey as I smelled something. Petey, I frowned, and my heart began to race. Do you smell that? He sniffs the air, humming. Hey, that smells nice. Why would you say that? Sure, whatever. Let's just say whatever we want. His frown furrows his brow. Too nice. I can't describe it. I don't know. I look around, trying to find the source of the smell. As we walk slowly. I agree it smells good, like Grandma's marzipan cakes. But damn it. My head throbbed, and I had to stop walking. My head hurts. Corridor also sounds British. I would say corridor. You can drink for corridor if you want, but I think I could get past corridor. Take it easy, Petey said, but he also started to look pale, stumbling back. It kind of smells like it's coming from the chemistry classroom. We both look up, seeing a chair pushed against the handle of the door. That wasn't there before. The creamy smell, not sweet like sweets, but almonds. Almonds! I yelled in panic. I read ahead a little bit and I'm already disappointed with the way this goes. And shot a look at Petey. Get back now! Why? He blinked, but obeyed me, hurrying back a couple feet. Jimmy, what the heck is going on? Beatrice told me that cyanide smells like almonds. Fuck, Petey cried, but why the chemistry classroom? Give me your handkerchief, Petey, I demanded, and without a word, he quickly threw it to me, and I held it over my mouth and nose. That's right, I'm doing my fucking research. Okay. Can cyanide kill you by being breathed? Okay. You can die by breathing in cyanide. Just so we all know. Sounded fake, but I've confirmed it. So I'll let this one slide. I burst into a sprint, kicking the chair aside and yanking the door open, and I'm hit with the full force of a thick, colorless cloud. Sure, rolling over me. I squeezed my burning eyes shut before peeking and walking inside, seeing someone lying on the floor with their hands tied above their head and a light bulb hanging above with a long cable. The person seemed to be unconscious as they rested on their knees. Trying to pull the cable, but it didn't budge, I ran out of the classroom and almost blacked out as I fell to my knees, coughing and gagging for air. Petey dropped to his knees, holding my shoulders and yelling something, but my hearing dulled. Then my face jerked as Petey slapped me. Hold of yourself, he ranted near tears. What's going on? Jimmy, can you hear me? Yes, I rasped and looked back, remembering the name and face of the victim. Beatrice is in there. She's tied to the ceiling light, but I don't have any scissors to cut it. What are all the girls doing here? I literally do not understand how there are so many girls dying right now. Do not even touch Eunice, dude. If Eunice goes, I go. And I'm being so for real. Don't touch her. Okay. Anyway, he suddenly stood up and pulled a firecracker from his pocket. Before I could yell at him, he charged past, and I spun while still feeling weak, and watched him enter the classroom without wearing a scarf. Then the noise of an explosion filled the room and my heart stopped. Petey! My voice cracked and I forced myself to my feet, hurrying to the classroom, only to see the crazy bastard walk out, dragging the cable along with Beatrice's body still tied to it. I helped him pull her further away from the classroom until we're by the lockers, and collapsed, panting heavily as a headache pounded my nerves. My fingers twitched, but I gulped down as many heavy breaths as I could. Colorless cloud. Yes, if you decide it's over, no point in continuing. Also, thank you for your courage. I destroyed the light fixture instead. I hear him wheeze, clutching his chest. I had to do it. No, I shook my head, saying breathily. Can I have a cringe for breathily, please? Quick thinking, Petey. That's genius. He weakly smiled at me. Okay, don't. I know. It's like, wait a minute. Of all the places to explode things, the chemistry lab feels like the worst fucking one, but sure, go off, do whatever you gotta do. Thank you for the cringe. He weakly smiled at me as I sat up, feeling the nerd's neck, but no pulse. I quickly opened her mouth to listen for breathing, but nothing. I met Petey's dismayed look, and he hung his head low, shoulders shaking as his fist balled. We have to get rid of these clothes, he blubbed, quivering. The CDC, so funny, hi CDC, says that contamination can get onto other clothing and poison other people. I just did as he was told. Or we could just, like, leave it alone, probably. The CDC was so funny. Hi, CDC. Hi, CDC mention. Also, why is it the girl character that's dying from cyanide and we have to take her clothes off? Okay, the story is pissing me off now. That one was pretty bad too, yeah. We did not need to do that. But alas, I read it. I just did as he was told. He led me to the school shop, dumped the clothes aside as we put on tracks. Oh, our clothes. Okay. Never mind. We're safe. No weird sexism happening here. As we put tracksuits over gym shorts and gym shirts, as instructed, using a bin bag to bag them without touching the material. I took them to the front doors when PD went ahead to the infirmary, peeking inside before disappearing 3 seconds and returning with a lighter. Don't tell anyone I took it off of Lucky's body, he murmured sadly, but we need to burn the material. We just. Where are you getting this? But whatever. We just dumped the bin bag full of ruined clothes in front of the building at the left-hand side, where Petey proceeded to burn it. In the darkness of the blizzard-struck area, the bonfire felt nice to watch while I put my arm around Petey, mostly to comfort him. He mutters in a daze, we have to get help. That finally pulled my blank mind back into place with an idea. Petey, I said firmly, let's go to the library. What? Why? He stared at me. Because I got a feeling that the other guys are hiding out there, I explained. And if we rescue as many people as we can, then we can keep things under control. But you don't have to follow me. No, he protests. I'll come with you. I want to get to the bottom of this mess too. And we don't even have master keys, I mutter. But library first, then Harrington House, and lastly the auto shop. We'll just have to assume the girls' dorm is secured. A terrible fucking thing to assume, considering 2 girls have died. And considering the girl to boy ratio in this fucking game, the girls are dropping like fucking flies. Not sure if an open burn is the best idea. Probably not, but alas, it occurred and we have moved on. Oh shit, happy 905 everybody. Time moves so fast when we're having fun. Hi Nash. How are you? Hope you're enjoying Fanfiction Friday, but on Saturday. Fucking love this shit. Wow. It's like crack. Thank you for your happy 905 as well. They are appreciated as always. Because I got a feeling the other guys are hiding out there. And I explained. Wait, I already read that. That's okay, I'll just keep going. And if we rescue as many people as we can. No, I didn't. We can keep things. Oh, yeah, okay, I did remember. Okay, girls' dorm is secured. Okay, got it. We're back. And what if we meet the killer? He asks unsurely. Then I inhale the smoke tinted cold air, watching the fire burn on. We give them the Bulworth treatment. Funny as shit. Yeah, I jumped in a few minutes ago. It's wild. So many kills. We've killed. Okay, we haven't done anything, but other people have. 4 prefects are dead. Trent is lost to the snowstorm. Troy was hit in the head with a toilet seat. Angie was stabbed 5 times, excuse me. Russell was beaten to death in the face and stabbed. Sheldon was shoved in a trash can, but like violently. Beatrice and the cyanide, 28 stab wounds. Stop. That's a bit of a deep cut. But I got it. Okay, anyway. Oh no. Lucky! Oh shit! Lucky was stabbed also. Thank you, Kat. Wow, that's such a high death count. What the fuck? That's like, what are there for? 5, 6, 7, 8. We don't know if Trent is dead, but we'll just assume that's the case. I'm not even gonna count. I already lost it. It's over. Anyway, question marks POV. Let's assume Gary. Oh, you idiots, huddling and snuggling by your weird bonfire. You think you're safe, but you're not, because I'm watching you right now. You may not see me, but I am like the cold air, free to go wherever the hell I want and chilling to feel. Oh my god, can I have a crunch, please? Thank you for saying your plans out loud, because now I know where to strike next to feel your terror. Nothing can save you now, boys, especially you, Petey. Soon you'll feel my sweet revenge. At a rapid rate, like 5 of you will. Yes, it's so fast. Oh my god. Thank you for your cringe. Also, it's appreciated as always. There's no shot that it's not Gary. That's so Gary. You can't say revenge and expect me not to assume Gary. Bill, lame. Be better. Anyway, Petey's POV. So things have really gone to shit, huh? I can't believe Beatrice is gone too. But now what? Even as I followed Jimmy through the blizzard while holding onto his jacket sleeve with just a flashlight lighting our way, I wonder if it's worth risking our lives to find other students possibly stranded in other buildings. How long has it been? It's been maybe an hour since all of this has occurred. I hate this shit. I hate this shit so bad. We could at least wait until the morning, or even until the blizzard stopped, before going into town to find help. People can last for hours without food. You can absolutely last longer than a few hours without food. It's like a week, brother. Maybe longer. 2 weeks? What was that survival code again? 333. 3 hours of exposure to the elements lead to death. 3 days without water and 3 weeks without food. Probably something along those lines. But honestly, the water thing is up for debate. I know some people don't drink water for longer than that. Multiple people dead, so things have really gone to shit. So true. They have. Wow. What an apt way to describe it. Thank you so much, PD. Um, but it took a lot of physical effort walking through the heavy drifts. At least Jimmy's well built in that he's got better stamina than me. Otherwise, I'd have passed out long ago in the snow. Eventually, Jimmy called out and I looked up to see the familiar silhouette of the library ahead of us. Walking up the steps, we made it to the front doors, frantically pushing the wall of snow aside before Jimmy began to pound the door with his fists and yelling, "It's Jimmy and Petey, let us in!" It took about 10 seconds before the door creaked open and wary eyes peered through the gap before Jimmy just forced his way in, and I hurried after him into the foyer of the who cares, of the building. Behind us, Melvin shut the door before Hi, Ricky! Pushed a sofa against it. Sorry you're stuck with Melvin, that is quite unfortunate for you. Man, what's going on? Davis asked quickly, watching us dust the snow off ourselves. I look around and notice Bucky and Thad at one of the tables in deep discussion before throwing us suspicious looks. We tried to get to the boys' dorm on our own after someone broke our chain, but we ended up here. How's the storm there? Fucking spectacular, Jimmy snapped. Any second longer and Petey and I would have been icicles. How's the fort holding up here? Who else is in here? Ricky walked into the maid room. Read ahead, sorry. Ricky walked in the main room, looking around, and said, "There's me, Bucky, Thad, Davis, Melvin," and he let out a heavy sigh. Tad, of all people. I got lost trying to find Harrington House. An indignant yell was heard from the top floor, where we looked up to see Tad himself leaning on the balcony. It's too bloody blinding out there, and it's colder than a witch's tit. Can I have a cringe for witch's tit? That was disgusting. Davis snorted immaturely. "Ha! You said tit," he chortled. "Can I get another cringe? Thank you so much in advance. Those were horrific." "Any dead bodies?" I joked, and almost everyone looked at me. Jimmy inhaled. "Don't panic, but we found more dead people." "You what?" "Thank you for your cringe. Both of you." Tad burst and left his spot to run and get down the stairs. Startled, the other refugees ran to us as Jimmy and I sat down at a bench. There might be a longer cooldown on it than I need. Sorry about that in advance. And I sat down at a bench for a much needed rest. "You guys only know about Sheldon, right?" Well, do we have some fucking news for you guys? Okay, pretend we're at 30. I can do that. They murmured and nodded. "Well, Angie was found dead too." "No," Davis gasped, shaking his head. "That ain't right. You gotta be lying." "I ain't the kind of guy who makes lies like that," Jimmy spat, and I touched his shoulder to get him to calm down and sit again. And he gulped, looking at Davis again, who grew paler by the second. "No," he uttered. "Please don't say it. Please." His eyes... Sorry. I got distracted. His eyes were starting to brim with tears, but Jimmy held his head low. The others simply observed in silent horror. "Troy and Russell," he said clearly, not making eye contact with anyone. "Trent saw Troy get killed. Petey and I discovered Russell in the hole. I'm sorry, Davis." "You're lying," he burst, but tears ran down his cheeks, fists clenched. "Nobody could defeat Russell. Nobody." "Except Jimmy," Tad piped up with a frown, and I shot him a look. "Oh, can it, Tad?" I growled, and his mouth dropped in pure offense. "At the end of the day, Russell's just an overpowered dumbass. He can't just fight off a baseball bat with his bare hand." I froze suddenly and suddenly grasped Jimmy's arm. "Jimmy!" Sorry, Kat. You both have cringe rights. I'll turn the actually I have to run an ad like right fucking now, so I'll turn off the cooldown when we go on an ad break. So you will both be safe to cringe as much as you want. And any other VIPs who feel like cringing as well. VIPs have cringe rights. Okay, happy third. I guess we didn't have to pretend. We were at 30. we'll call that an extra cringe for no cooldown or having a cooldown. Well, it's a farce. I manifested too hard. Maybe a little, but that's alright. Alright, I'm gonna run an ad. I'll turn the cooldown off. Everybody sit tight during the ad. Okay, we're back now. The cooldown is turned off, so there was a 15-second cooldown on users, so you could only use it once every 15 seconds, and then there was a cooldown for 5 seconds globally. So now the cooldowns are 0, so it's a fucking free-for-all. Everyone can say whatever the shit they want whenever. Thank you, it's good to be back. Let's jump right back in. What? He yelled in shock, and I flinched, but I carried on. Russell can't have resisted his attacker because he didn't have any bruises or cuts on his hands. Jimmy stared at me looking lost, but thankfully Thad and Melvin gasped. Wait, let me get this right, Melvin inhaled. How did Russell die exactly? Describe the crime scene. But Davis just stormed off, wiping his face furiously. Lying on his back, I murmured, but it looked like someone was hitting his head over and over again. Even for a strong guy like him, concussions are serious, Thad piped up. But why the hole? How spread out was the crime scene? Jimmy massaged his own forehead, eyes shut as if trying to remember, but grimacing. I spoke up for him. It's just in the hole, I said. Obviously, there's a lot of blood, but his hands didn't look bloodied or cut. So if he was just in the hole, there's plenty of places where he could easily see his attacker, Thad said, and Melvin snaps his fingers. Therefore, he'd only let someone come close if there's someone he personally knows. Jimmy's head suddenly rose to look at him. Like a fellow student, or a teacher or prefect, Thad concluded, and Melvin high-fived him. Wow, let's go ahead and fucking, widen the scope to not only students, but teachers and prefects, because that makes complete sense. He's really using his brain. Okay, Ricky interrupted, looking green. But the teachers are away, and the prefects may hate us, but they wouldn't actually kill us for being dicks. Actually, I started, and they all looked at me. We found the prefects dead. We think they were poisoned, and then their bodies thrown in a tank full of water in the boiler room. Fucking hell, Tad gawked, eyes wide. The prefects are dead? Russell would dropkick Gary. He would. Exactly. So there's no shot that he was like, oh, I'm gonna stand here and let myself get a concussion and then die. They looked at each other in growing panic. We're going to try and get you guys back to the boys' dorm, Jimmy said, and they relaxed. So it's why we're here, to save your frozen asses. I wouldn't bother, Thad, excuse me. Why did you put Tad and Thad in the same room? That's really fucked up, but whatever. I wouldn't bother, Thad blurted. We're actually quite content here. But Jimmy raised an eyebrow and he deflated. Oh, fine. I just hate being cold, and the library is always so warm. We can build a fire at the dorm. No, you can't. Oh, okay, outside. Sure. Do whatever you want, I guess. I think they were finally all shut up. Yeah. And now someone will be killed. Because, the killer overheard our plans. So we've doomed someone in the room. We can build a fire at the dorm, Jimmy casually suggests. We just gotta use some tinder and have it by the steps. Like books, Ricky said lightly, and the nerds grew pale. Anything but the books, Thad and Melvin cried at the same time, and he chortled. Doesn't the library have a fireplace? I think so. I know for a fact that Harrington House has a fireplace. So realistically, we should go to Harrington House. And Harrington House is fucking huge. So we should have all gone there, but whatever. The girls' dorm has a fireplace too, I think. Or does it? No, it doesn't. Or does it? The game is still downloaded on my computer. I'm thinking about it, but I won't. I won't be that mentally ill. Um or can we just burn waste? Tad says in irritation, crossing his arms. There's plenty of shredded paper beneath Mrs. Carver's desk. Good, Jimmy nods, standing up. Melvin, Thad, you two are in charge of gathering the waste. Put a lid on it because the winds are picking up. While the nerds walk off muttering to each other, Tad turns to Jimmy with a frown. He seems to keep scuffling as his arms tighten around himself. Say, where are my fellows? He asks quietly, glancing over at Ricky smoking by the entrance. And I mean the right kind of fellows. Jimmy looked at me and I coughed to clear my throat. At the dorm. There's no other prep there, I answer, going through the mental list of faces and names of students at the boys' dorm. We're going to go to Harrington House after we drop you guys off at the dorm, but Tad waved me off dismissively. Tad is so next. Tad is so fucking next. That won't do. I'll come with you two to Harrington House. Why? Jimmy raised an eyebrow. Safety in numbers, Tad. Yes, yes, I know, he inhaled deeply. I feel much safer within Harrington House. It's harder to break into, and we have a fireplace in there that we can use that's actually built for purpose and safe. Wow, that was a terrible sentence. Tad, people are dying. Shut the fuck up. He doesn't know how. It's not his fault. Anyway, can I have a cringe for whatever the fuck this was? This was horrific. Thank you for your cringe. Really now, Ricky walked up. Okay, great. And he jumped as the greaser heartily patted his back with a friendly smile. Well, in that case, you'll need security, eh? Someone like me to protect you and your pals within the walls of your cozy sanctuary. Darby won't be happy, Tad sniffs, stepping away from his touch and crossing his arms. Besides, Harrington House is specially for people of our social class. But Ricky tisked and wound his arm around his shoulders, making him gasp in horror. Oh, but who's going to police that little law, little man? He muttered. In case you haven't noticed, there's a killer about, and you won't be best pleased if you end up dead. So how about you let me and my pals stay in your little sanctuary for free, and we'll fight off any intruders. Little man, Tad shrieks, breaking away. I am not going to sully myself letting you greaseballs into Harrington House. I decided to speak up at this amusing display. By the way, we don't actually know where Darby is, but I frowned and thought, when we had that party at the dorm, where were you preps at the murder? Where were you preps at before the murder alert came out on Sheldon? Tad huffed. We were in Harrington House, of course, having our own little cocktail party. Darby heard the news of the murder and brought me with him, but I got lost with the lunatics who didn't hold the human chain, so I went to the nearest building, which happened to be this one, unfortunately. I looked at Jimmy, and we shared the same thought. Anyone who goes into a building, he trails off, will be safe or in danger, I fit. They will either be safe or they will be in danger. um yeah, dude, that's life, man. You're either going to be safe or you're going to be in danger. Those are the fucking options. There is no in between. The only two options. That's it. Oh my god, I'm gonna lose it. Okay, anyway, I finished and glanced around. Thank you for the cringe. But not seeing anything out of the ordinary. Either way, the dorm is safe, so we have to get everyone there regardless. Oh, fine, Tad groaned, and Ricky snorted, dropping his cigarette and stamping on it, scorching the floor with a blackened mark that cooled quickly. Excellent! His lordship will be joining us squires for tonight, he huffs. As he said that, Thad and Melvin returned to our side, both holding 2 cardboard boxes full of confidential waste. Hey, has anyone seen Davis? Oh, Davis is fucking dead. Goodbye, Davis. Miss you, buddy. Thad spoke up, and we looked around but I sighed heavily. I'll look for him, I murmur. I'm the one who gave him the bad news after all. With Jimmy's approving nod, I walked off while the group began their small talk. And I started to walk around the bookcases, calling out Davis's name. Davis, we're leaving now, I called out, then decided to take the stairs. It's weird. There's not many places to hide in the library apart from the tables on the top floor. Davis, I say out loud again, peeping around corners of the giant bookcases but seeing no trace of him at all. I sigh and lean on the barrier, seeing the group still talking, except something doesn't feel right. I sharply spin around. Someone shoved me in the chest. I flip upside down, all vision a blur as weightlessness overtook me. Petey! I landed on someone, and they gasped. Dizzy, I sat up, rubbing my head while Jimmy grunted, and I stood up to let him take deep breaths while holding his arm. Fuck, he hissed, and the other guys hurried over to us. Ricky looked up with a snarl and pointed. Who the hell are you? He yelled. How the fuck did you get in here, brother? How did you get in here? Without us knowing about it. You're crazy. Anyway, who the hell are you? He yelled, and we all looked up to see a person wearing a thick black jacket, black gloves, and a hockey mask. As opposed to the ski mask from earlier, possibly 2 guys, and a hockey mask leaning over the balcony before suddenly taking off out of our sight. Don't let them get away! Okay, it's the fucking library. There's one door! There is no shot this guy's getting out of here. Or you guys are just bad. There's like 5 of you. What the fuck is wrong with you? I can't believe they're getting away. This is pissing me off so bad. Don't let them get away. Oh no, dude. You want to know what I just remembered? We might not ever find out who the murderer through the chimney. So Santa Core. We might not ever find out who the murderer is because this isn't finished. I didn't think this through. That's okay. We're already here. It doesn't matter. Maybe a really heartfelt comment will spur them to continue. We can only hope. We can only hope that that's the case. We'll all leave a really, really nice comment on chapter 13 of 18. I don't know why it's that specific. And then surely they will continue writing for us. Please, you have to finish. Oh, I can't believe I forgot that it's not done. I was like, it won't matter that much. Yes, it will. Whatever. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's okay. We'll live. We'll make it through this. Anyway, Tad shouted and ran after Ricky, ignoring Jimmy's pained orders to stop. Don't! He might have a weapon, he inhaled sharply and squeezed his arm. Fuck! Jimmy, I kneeled down beside him. What? How? You were pushed, dummy! How could you be so... Oh, sorry. He snapped. How could you be so reckless? Well, excuse me for not having eyes on the back of my head, I ranted, and he flexed his left fingers, only wincing a little, and quickly stood up, looking at me. Stay with the nerds, he snaps. Hi, me and my friend have been reading and discussing who we think the killer is. Loving the story so far. So, if you're not gonna finish, could you at least tell us, like, what you were thinking? Like, who it was gonna be? Like, please, because I know they're active, because they posted... No, they're not active. Fuck, the last thing they put... Because I looked. The last thing they posted was posted in, like, 2023. In, like, September. It's almost been a year. Come back! I'm your biggest fan! He snaps before running up the stairs, but instead I followed him and he was too determined to look back. What I never realized until tonight was that there was a fire exit. No! Shut the fuck up! What I never realized until tonight was that there was a fire exit on the upper floor leading to the rooftop of the library. That is not where you want to go when there's a fire. Typically you want to go down, but whatever, sure. Make shit up. Leading to the rooftop of the library, and it's that I never really noticed it before until we both saw that it's left wide open, obviously where the killer exited and followed by Tad and Ricky. In the darkness of the claustrophobic staircase, we hurried up until we're pelted with falling snow and saw Ricky ahead of us, just lying down on his side, already half buried in the snow. Oops, goodbye, Ricky. Ricky! Jimmy yelled and we ran over. Fear iced my stomach as he shoved the snow off the body and he slapped Ricky's face. He jerked and his eyes shot open and I gasped. Ricky, where's Tad and the killer? The greaser just stared at him, mouth hanging open as he moved onto his knees, shivering from the cold. They went over. He blinked, looking around and pointed ahead of him, and Jimmy shone the flashlight as he carefully walked over only to stop and turn. This is a rooftop, he said. They can't have gotten anywhere else apart from the fire exit. But Tad, he spoke up and coughed, holding his stomach. That goddamn bastard punched and winded me. Wait, he murmured, and we hauled him up to his feet so we could hear him better over the howling winds. I came out first. The jerk threw a sucker punch just as I went out the door, and I saw Tad throwing a punch at him, but then he... Oh my god, Tad is dead. His face fell, and he yanked himself from our grips, running over the edge of the drift-tapped roof, and backed up, looking down with an anguished yell. Tad! Jimmy and I ran over, stopping by his side, looking down at what Ricky's seeing. Tad's body, laying on the cold, hard ground, with his body twisted and eyes still open. Fuck! Jimmy hissed. That's their favorite thing to say. Jimmy hissed, turning to us. Ricky, Petey, we have to get everyone to the dorm as fast as we can. No more fucking around or whatever. Oh, lives are at stake, as if they weren't before. He looked at Ricky, who still stared down in shock, and he gripped his arm. Ricky, snap out of it! He faced him, silently nodding as he half dragged the greaser with him. Wow. Okay, anyway, let's keep going. You don't think it's Davis, do you? I whispered to Petey as we walked down. It's Jimmy's point of view, by the way. Who cares? Suspian. Maybe I read the chapter titles from now on if they're gonna be as good as Suspian. Okay, sorry. You don't think it's Davis, do you? I whispered to Petey as we walked down the fire exit stairs with Ricky ahead of us, walking robotically. Were you guys in love or some shit? Because I thought you guys hated each other, but whatever. No, he sighs, and it's best we avoid making assumptions, otherwise it'll confuse the fuck out of us. Besides, Russell and Troy were his best friends. Ricky said nothing until we made it to the ground floor. Thad and Melvin are nowhere to be found. God damn it, I swore, and looked around quickly. Thad, Melvin, where are you guys? Are you freaking kidding me? The greaser mumbled. Did they just fucking bail on us? Looks like it, Petey groaned. Maybe they got spooked and went to the boys' dorm. Whatever it is, let's go there now, I say, but Ricky turned around to face me, scowling. I'm going with you guys, he said sternly. I don't exactly want to go to the boys' dorm with this crazy shit going on. Fine, I sighed heavily, but you're to stay by our side. His ass is done. And not leave us, not even for a piss. Which we have all notoriously been leaving to do. Piss. Oh my god, that's so funny. Anyway, why? He frowns, holding out his hands out. You think I'm the killer? No, I scoff. Thad and Melvin and Davis saw you here the whole time. Except Davis is nowhere to be found, which is rather fucking convenient, he snapped. Just let me come with you. If that bastard killer is stronger than you, Jimmy, then you'll need more manpower. He looked at Petey, saying, no offense, he groaned. Full offense taken. We set foot outside, seeing Tad's body almost completely covered in snow, and Ricky shut his eyes as he shook his head, walking to the body and kneeling down to gently pull his eyelids down with his gloved hands. Let me take him indoors at least, he says out loud, not looking at me. The idiot will only complain if he's cold. That's kind of sad. Whatever, sorry. Go ahead, I murmured, and even though I knew he didn't hear me. Okay, sure. We watch. End of sentence. Fuck it, we ball. We watch him lift Tad's body and take inside in the library foyer before returning a minute later, closing the door. We said nothing, but he nodded and we began to walk towards the back of the school, matching each other's paces. The fountain was switched off because it's winter with a capital W, but it's ominous seeing the silhouette of the school symbol standing tall high above us. Luckily, it gave us a good clue which way to turn in the blistering wind. We turned left, and ahead of us is Harrington House, which we hurried towards. Ricky beat us to it, though, and started hammering the door with his fist. Hey, dickbags, he roared. Tad's dead because you weren't looking out for him, so let us in. Ricky, Petey hissed, coming by his side. They'll feel less inclined to let us in. But to my surprise, the door opened, and love her! Hi, Pinky! If she dies, it is once again over. I'm not reading anymore. Okay. And Pinky stared at Ricky. Tad is dead? She whispers, wide-eyed. Our Tad? Tad Spencer? The greaser just pushed past her. Yeah, him. She shrieked because he tracked dirt on the floor. But that's really funny. Love her. But Petey and I entered as well, and I shut the door, locking it quickly. She smiled upon seeing me, brushing her hand through her hair. Oh, hi, Jimmy, she giggles, and I realize that she's only wearing her pajamas. Nothing sexy, unfortunately, but still really cute. That's so fucking stupid, sorry. A soft pink pajama button-up shirt and bottoms and bunny slippers. What brings you here? I'm taking everyone to the dorms, I said. We'll all be safer if we're all together. Her face fell. But it's much warmer here, she protested, and Petey helpfully walked away, leaving me alone to deal with the well-known spoiled brat. Asshole. I inhaled and stepped close, and she kindly leaned down to lend me her ear with a sneaky grin. I'll take you to the girls' dorm and give you my sweater as a pauper-style good luck charm. She giggled and sneakily kissed my cheek. Much better, she coos, and then I hurried after Petey into the main living room where Darby sat by the roaring fire in his ridiculous smoking jacket, so true, and holding a pipe in his hand. What amused me the most was that the other preps still wore their clothes, looking nervous about my I hope they're still wearing their clothes, but whatever. About my presence, while for some strange reason Ivan and Gordon both wore traditional French maid outfits. Why? I'm at a loss for fucking words. What do you What do you mean? Thank you for the cringe. Go ahead and throw another one on there because there's two guys wearing a traditional maid outfit. Why did you write this in? Oh, yeah, like, I'm not gonna make it. I'm not. Took a sip because that was bizarre. A justifiable sip, I think. Thank you for another cringe. With the skirts being incredibly short and barely covering their asses. I sniffed the air, but not detecting any drugs, so I decided to ask the most sensible question in this moment. Darby, what the fuck is going on? And gestured at the only non-click guys in the room. Darby chuckled while Biff glanced away, obviously uncomfortable with the weird-ass situation here. So you found me, he said simply. I figured that since we'll be safe here with our double-glazed windows, thick doors, and steady supply of baseball bats, we will stay here until the cops arrive to arrest you, Hopkins. You what? I spluttered and felt my fight or flight shit go off. What for? You heard me, Darby declares haughtily, standing up. It was with that gesture I realized that Bryce, Chad, and Justin circled us as if trapping us. Petey's back touched mine while Ricky cursed under his breath, holding his fists up immediately. Sheldon's death is a tragedy, but it's not like people of his social status will have a chance at reaching the top percent or even the halfway point. If anything, you spared us from giving his future brood social handouts. Oh my god, that's so funny. But as a future congressman, he sighs and as he trailed off, shaking his head, I must have at least one good public deed accomplished, and that is arresting a murderer for the death of one innocent soul. Thank you for your cringe. You're off your fucking mind, I yelled, and Chad inched closer, keeping a steely gaze on me. I can hurt half of this school, but never lay a finger on a kid. I'm not a scumbag who hurts small kids. But it's as Gary once said once to me, Darby chuckled. You're a psychotic monster at the end of the day. And with your poor background, it's understandable. You're angry because nobody ever helped you before, and you'll die alone before you can even make a worthy accomplishment. I stared at him, immediately forgetting about the pain in my left arm. Thank you for being specific. As my heart began to race. Jimmy, they're closing in, Ricky hissed, without me looking at him. So what are we gonna do? Jimmy, hurry, Petey whispered quickly as I peek over my shoulder to see Bryce holding a fucking horsewhip, of all things. Sure, we ball. Decide now, man, you're the boss. But Darby overheard him on that with a loud cackle. Not any longer, plebeian, he spat. I'm the boss of the school. I can buy anything I want in life, and my word will be law. This author really does not like Darby. In this wretched school, he quickly pointed to me, at us, and something clicked in my mind immediately. Seize them! Wait! I yelled, and the goons stopped themselves in confusion. I groaned, and look at the click idiot again. Darby, Gary is old news. Why even bother mentioning him? Yes, because we trust Gary on all matters. Yeah, of all the fucking people to trust, let's go ahead and trust Gary, who isn't here and hasn't been here for a year. Cool. Let's use our brains. But Biff quickly stepped by his master's side, hissing. He's stalling us. He's planning an escape. But Darby ignored him with a scoffing noise of disapproval. No, he isn't. No, I'm not, I said lightly, and Chad scratched his head, but Biff snapped. Yes, you are, he pointed at me. You're gonna fight your way out of this over my dead body. I'll take you down one by one and hand your unconscious body to the cops. Excellent idea, the blonde prep says breezily, sitting back down and calling past us. Pinky, sweetie, come sit on my lap. Boo. Boo! Bad phrasing, man. A little bit, yeah, but that's okay. Because it got worse. Don't touch her. And Piggy skipped past us, thank you for the crunch, shooting me an apologetic look before sitting down on Darby's lap and winding her arm around his neck with a giggle. Man, they really do not like the preps as a whole, it seems. Leave her alone. She would never do this. Fuck you. This is more like it. Biff, carry on. Boys, get some betting slips ready. Ivan and Gordon will gladly fetch us some more drinks from the kitchens. The aforementioned non-click boys just groaned in pure embarrassment before quickly slinking off towards the kitchen area past the swinging doors. Hell yeah, Ricky grinned, but I held his shoulder. Ricky, I hurriedly whisper, I want you to explore this place with Petey to look for the killer and make sure all the exits are sealed. Damn it, he growled, glaring at me. I thought you said we weren't gonna fuck around after seeing Tad dead. Biff overheard that just as he approached me, suddenly freezing. Tad's dead? He uttered wide-eyed. Biff, no more chit-chat, Darby said, but the redhead spun on his heel to face him. Tad is dead, Darby, he blurted. Didn't you hear them? But the leader waved him off, rolling his eyes. Would you believe the words of a killer? He says airily. Now go beat up Jimmy. Yeah, Piggy's the princess. People wait on her. Exactly. She would never be told what to do and then listen. And I'll stand by that. I don't think I. He looked between us. He ain't lying, Biff, Ricky said lowly, arms relaxed. He was with me. We went after the killer to the library rooftop, but I got knocked down, and the lump in his throat bobbed as he gulped. The bastard pushed him off the roof, and obviously used him as a landing cushion, and broke his neck. Okay, used him as a landing cushion is so funny because that would not work. It wouldn't work. Whatever. The other preps stared at him in shock before glancing at each other, but Darby was losing patience, practically shoving Pinky off his lap. Don't touch her, man! Fuck! As he stood up quickly, storming up to Biff with a dark look. Fight him, Biff, he uttered. He's obviously trying to toy with you to stall for time. Biff looked at. Thank you for your cringe. Biff looked at Ricky, but he still held his gaze with balled up fists. Ew! I know. What the fuck? His green eyes closed, and he turned to Darby. I won't. Darby's mouth hung open before he seized his collar into his fist with a snarl. You cur? Okay, so true. Get his ass. Say that. What did you just say? He hissed, and Biff stared at him. Are you disobeying me? Kinda looks like he is, Petey uttered, and Darby heard him, whipping his head to glare at him. What did you just... Wham! Darby immediately crumpled... A gun? Or what the fuck is happening? Sorry. Darby immediately crumpled to the ground, and our surprised looks turned to Biff's fist. Sweet slay! Kill him. Biff's fist before it relaxed, and he exhaled shakily. Fuck, he's gonna kill me, he muttered, and Pinky shrieked, dropping to her knees by Darby's unconscious body. She would never do this. They are messing her up so bad. Meanwhile, the other three preps began to cheer and applaud and pat his back. Jolly good hit! Chad nodded approvingly. I've always wanted to do that to him. You're a legend, Biff, Justin chuckled. It's as if they're treating this like a soap opera drama. Biff, I spoke up, and the red hand glanced at me with uncertainty. Can you truss up this late crazy loon and lock him up in the closet or something? I got a feeling he'll be safer that way than causing trouble in the dorm. That is so funny. They're like, I'm tired of writing Darby. Let's put him in a closet someplace. Whatever. He nodded with a shivering smile, not quite calming down. You have my word, Jim, he affirmed, and called the other boys to help him onto the plush chair with its high back. Ricky still laughed hard, wiping his eyes while Petey giggled. I wish I had my camera, the greaser snorts. Agreed, Petey gasped, smiling. He deserved that for being a classist asshole. Thank you, that's what everybody was thinking. You didn't have to say that out loud. Now that Darby is put in timeout, time to round up the group here. With Darby unconscious, yes, let's time skip and then repeat almost identically what we just said. So true, dude. Fuck, I hate that. With Darby, can I have a cringe for this fuck-ass time skip, please? Jesus Christ. With Darby unconscious and tied down to his chair with a suspicious number of cable ties. Why would that be suspicious? But sure, whatever, go off, say whatever you want. I stood by the fire's dying embers while Ricky, Petey, Ivan, and Gordon, still in the maid outfits as their other clothes were disposed of for Darby's amusement. Chad, Bryce, Justin, Pinky, and Biff watched me. Thank you for your cringe. All right, gents and lady. I nod at Pinky, and she nods with tightly pursed lips, obviously displeased with Darby's treatment. So as she would not be this bad. She'd be like, haha. She was late. He was late for our date once. Got you back, bitch. Like, she wouldn't be like this. I'm so pissed. So as Petey and I discovered, there was a murder on the loose, and they killed 11 people already. Okay, thank you for counting, including Tad. The boys shared pained glances and comfortingly touched each other's shoulders, and the prefects had been killed as well. They shot me horrified glances. Whoa, the prefects too? Biff blurted. Surely they must have. We are literally in the boys' dorm. Surely they all have their own rooms, and somebody could borrow some of the preps' clothes. But no, let's make them wear the really small maid outfits out in the snow. That's a good idea. Yes, I breathe. So we're going to need everybody keeping an eye on each other in the boys and girls dorms. To do that, I'm going to escort you lot to the boys dorm and Pinky to the girls. We do not need to take Pinky to the girls. She can just come with us. Who fucking cares? I think everyone should be in one building. I'm gonna be real upfront and honest. Everyone should be in one building, and it should all be Harrington House. It makes the most sense. Fuck you. Suck my nuts. Okay, anyway. Can't we stay here? Bryce spoke up unsurely. Because we haven't had any weirdos come into this building ever since. He frowned at me, crossing his arms. You killed Darby's crapula maxima last year. I retort, well, as long as Biff doesn't let in anyone wearing an aquaberry sweater, then we'll be safe. The redhead scratched his neck uncomfortably, and Chad coughed. Hey, it's not like I'm blind or anything. In any case, let's just get out of here now, Ricky interrupted. Fuck's sake, just I know, why are we splitting? And especially if we're gonna have this like weird sexist thing going on, it's going to be implied that the girls can't handle taking care of themselves, so the girls being in one place is just like an opportunity to kill all of them at once, and then all the boys are in the other one. Like I don't know, safety in numbers, there's 5 girls with names. 8 girls with names. Well, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 including the little ones. Maybe more. But either way, you get it. What about Darby? Petey said, and I snorted. As soon as he wakes up, we'll cut him loose and take him to the dorm too. I sure hope so, Piggy suddenly barked, storming up to me and prodding my chest with her finger, because I won't let you treat him like this. But didn't you break up with him? I blinked, and she let out a high-pitched laugh. Well, duh, I did. But then I decided he's the one for me, she sighs with a smile. It's not because you're poor, Jimmy, but it's because he's very... She dropped to my height to whisper. Tall. Why, why didn't she take it with you? I I don't know why we're tying him up at current. It feels a little unnecessary, but whatever. Ouch. We all looked at Gordon, and then Ivan spoke up quickly to get our attention. Damn, they look so similar they could be twins. If you morons want to focus on shit, then we can at least borrow some clothes to- Okay, say that! Exactly. Some clothes to get warm if we're going back. I obviously don't want to die before I could attend an Ivy League school, Ivan grumbled. The rest of us just roll our eyes. Just grit your teeth, Justin chuckled. But since I'm feeling rather charitable today, I'll go fess you two a spare pair of... He suddenly coughs, spluttering into his hand. Pair of... Frowning, he moved his hands... What the hell? Is he dying? What the fuck is happening? Okay, sorry. Frowning, he moved his hand, seeing bloody droplets on his palm, and he gasped audibly before coughing again violently without stopping. Justin, Biff blurted. Everyone, what the fuck is happening? Everyone immediately knelt beside him in panic. I looked around quickly while his friend frantically spoke to him, patting his back, when my eyes fell upon the coffee table where there were 5 glasses of wine. 5 glasses with drops of wine left in them. Biff, I yelled, and he looked at me, going pale. Where are your wines kept? The pantry, he blurted, and stood up. Show me, I demanded, and I quickly followed him into the kitchen that Gordon and Ivan went into earlier, into the cleanest and biggest kitchen I've ever seen. At the far end, there's a trap door propped open which Biff descended down into. It's no surprise that there's an underground cellar that's moderately sized, compared to what I thought, as there's only 9 bottles left. Biff snatched one off the rack, only for the cork to pop off immediately, and with a loud yell, he's throwing it at the wall, and it burst into a million pieces. Did they nerf all the jogs? No. Justin's a prep. I don't think they've killed any jocks yet. They've killed a greaser. Have they killed a nerd? I don't think they've killed a nerd yet either. Or have they? They've killed a bully. They've killed 2 preps now. What about preps? It would be crazy if all of them died right now. That's crazy. Okay. Sorry. Throwing it at the wall and it burst into a million pieces. They've been tampered with, he raged, facing at me. Somebody's broken the seal, not just on this, but on all of them. His face softened, then we shared a panicking thought. Poison, we exclaimed at the same time, and we burst into a run up the steps to the kitchen where Petey and Ricky collided into us with pale expressions. Jimmy, the wine was poisoned, Ricky interrupted him and shoved a bowl of utensils off the counter in anger. There's nothing we could do. Damn it. Biff pushed past us, holding his stomach, and I'm hit with a paralyzing realization. Biff, oh my god, they killed all of them. What the fuck? That's crazy. Okay, sorry. We followed them. Where's Gord, by the way? A noticeable lack of Gord in the room? Just saying. We followed him into the main room, but seeing Justin curled up on the floor in a puddle of his own blood and vomit and lying on top of him was Bryce, who appeared to have coughed and vomited until he passed out on top of him. But nearby, twitching violently and choking on his own fluids, Chad barely mustered the strength to look at us. Biff fell to his knees, carefully turning his head to the side, and bloody vomit spilled onto his lap. The prep's bloodshot eyes stared at us before he stilled. Oh my god, what the fuck? Meanwhile, I turned to see Pinky. No! You can't be serious. This is the worst day ever. I can't. They killed Pinky, dude. Life is not worth living. She's my favorite. What poison would kill you in like 10 minutes? No need to think on that too hard. I'm so pissed. Pinky! Okay, sorry, I'll focus. Meanwhile, I turned to see Pinky sitting on the sofa, also suffering from the same fate, hurling and sobbing into a brass chamber pot with choking coughs, kind of British, choking coughs interrupting her crying. Jimmy, helping me! She whimpered before a glob of clotted blood burst from her raw lips and she lurched forward, dropping the pot onto herself as she fell and seizures rampaged her body. I didn't know what to do. I just held her head on my lap, letting her splurt out her fluids. Oh, God over my tracksuit bottoms while her voice distorted deeply. I glanced at the wine glasses, at Ivan and Gordon standing by the wall in obvious panic and horror, and at Darby still restrained in his seat, except it's only now that I noticed he hasn't moved since we knocked him out. But a trickle of blood seeped over his open lips, and with the cable ties restraining him, we barely noticed him having a seizure. You're gonna be fine, Pinky, I murmured to the girl, and she sobbed, still trembling all over. You'll be in pain, but it won't be long. You'll go unconscious, then you'll wake up in a hospital completely clean and free from pain. And her bloodshot brown eyes stared at me, and I couldn't find any more words. I held her hand, giving it a squeeze as she made a noise. Either the poison made her sweat or she's starting to cry. I'll be there with flowers and movie tickets, VIP ones, so we can get those fancy seats in the best spot and unlimited drink refills, I promise. What the fuck? You can't say that! I love her! I didn't know if she had heard me. They killed her character before her as a person. That's true. No need to mourn. She was already wrong. She was already dead. That was the first like sad death. Like they've killed 3 girls now, which is fucking crazy. The ratio is becoming worse. Please come back, Pinky. Come back to me. It is not looking good for Eunice, I must say. I didn't know if she heard me or if she could even comprehend me, but she eventually stopped moving and breathing. She's gone. Jimmy, Petey murmured, touching my shoulder, and I flinched, but he held on. I turned around, seeing Biff just kneeling down. Did Biff not die? Oh, fuck you. You killed Pinky, but you didn't kill Biff? Have some balls, man. Kill all of them. You can't just leave one of them alive and have it not be Pinky. Fuck you. Anyway, I turn around, seeing Biff just kneeling with his head hung low and his face in his hand. Ricky suddenly storms over to Ivan and Gordon with a snarl. Did you fuckers poison them? He yelled, and they whimpered. No, Biff cried out, stood up, cheeks wet. They didn't. The seals were broken on all the wine bottles. Someone poisoned every one of them. We made them put those clothes on so they couldn't have carried anything in their maid outfits. What? That doesn't make any damn sense, but sure, say whatever you want, I guess. Wait, Petey spoke up, hurrying to his side and peering at his face with a frown. Ivan and Gordon wouldn't be allowed to drink the wine, but how come you haven't been poisoned? He looked at us hesitantly, and Ricky cracked his knuckles in anticipation with a glare. Biff sighed heavily. I take antidepressants. Doc told me I can't have alcohol because it'll ruin the effects of them, so I'm sober for a good reason. Only Darby knows, so he can tell me when not to take them for boxing matches. If I'm depressed, I'm less likely to lose. That's sick, I grumbled, getting to my feet, but they saved you in more than one way. Darby, Biff's eyes widened, and he looked at the body in the chair. But Darby's already been dead for a while. Still, it's not hurting the boxer any less as he stumbled over to hold his chin up, but only seeing the blood that's built up in his mouth and streaming onto his lap. No, Darby! And he let out a cry, hugging the body while absolutely shaking all over. Darby, wake up, you idiot! I said nothing, only glancing at Pinky's body and feeling my grief match Biff's, except his tears could fill a swimming pool and his voice weakened into full-blown sobs. So it's just me, Petey, Ricky, Gordon, Ivan, and Biff now. I can't believe Pinky died. Do you know how fucked up that is? Do you know how disgusting that is? I'm so pissed. Anyway, it's 10 o'clock, or almost, so we finished that chapter at literally the perfect time. But they really did not like the Prebz, because they kind of did that, in... You can really tell who their favorite characters are while they're writing this, which is funny because they were like, just to warn you, your favorite characters will die. It's like, okay, but will your favorite characters die? Because they aren't seeming to. Vance hasn't died. And they wrote a whole novel about Vance. Gord hasn't even been here yet. Do they hate women, by the way? I think they hate women. A lot of girls dying. That's all I'm saying. Shut the fuck up, I know it's 10 o'clock. Okay. Return to me, bookmarks. Thank you so much. Again, if they kill Eunice, it's on site, man. No, me either. It's not very good. I could go without, personally. I like girls. They're cool. They're nice. Fuck you. I don't know. Anyway. There's no one I want to raid that's on right now, so we'll go ahead and not. It's my favorite activity, is deciding I don't feel like it and then not raiding. I should stop doing that, but I will probably continue. I raid more than the average Joe. Because I know there's a lot of folks out there who don't, so it's not my fault if I don't too. It literally is. I just love to rationalize. Anyway, I will see everybody tomorrow with a schedule, Monday with whatever the fuck I plan, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I have something going on. I absolutely do not. You are very welcome for stream. It looks like we're gonna finish this in 2 streams, I think, about like I predicted. So next week will be the last Fanfiction Friday, but on Saturday, unless we pick something else to read, which we absolutely could. I wouldn't mind. But I need some suggestions. I need some real nasty. Cuz this is pretty bad. It's already near and dear to my heart with how bad it is. Anyway, you're both very welcome for stream. By Naj in particular. And everyone else as well. I will see everybody tomorrow. Schedule. Godspeed out there. Love you.